Welcome to What a Creep, the show with Margot Donahue and Sonia Mansfield talking about creeps from the past to the present.
This is your quick guide to the biggest creeps, jerks, assholes, and losers, the best of the worst.
From two nice ladies who want the world to be a little less creepy. Welcome back to What a Creep. This is Margot Donahue, and my cohort in creepitude, as always, is the amazing Sonia Mansfield. Hey, Sonia.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. We are the podcast that talks about creeps from the past to the present. We are talking about a creepy movement that's happening in history right now. But don't you fret. We have an awesome non-creep at the end of this episode to make you feel hopeful. That's what we do.
Yes.
You can find us on Facebook. We do have a basic Facebook page, but that's where people go to complain about our language. We use salty language in this program, so beware.
Yeah, fucking deal with it.
We have a private Facebook group, and that's actually where we're the most interactive. You just type in What a Creep podcast group. You have to answer 3 little questions, and then you come on right in. And we just talk about creeps, and we talk about pop culture and things happening in the news. And we like to show off pictures of our pets. That's just what we do. We're a couple of single ladies. Of course we like pets.
Just don't be a creep.
Yeah.
And you can stay. If you act like a creep, we will, I don't even want to say ask you to leave. We will remove you.
Exactly. You can follow us on Twitter, as long Twitter still exists, at CreepPod, because somebody had What a Creep on Twitter for 10 years and never used it.
Creep.
Please follow us on Instagram, What a Creep Podcast. And you can also send us an email. We have an old-timey email address, whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. And also, if you would like some stickers, send us your address wherever you are on the planet of Earth. We will send you some stickers. It's what we love to do.
They are real cute.
They're pretty
Do
rad.
it.
Yep. Do you want to talk about the website?
Always. It's at whatacreeppodcast.com, and it's everything you ever want to know about our podcast, but we're afraid to ask. It has links to all of our past episodes, and if you open that little link, you will see all of our show notes, because every single episode is sourced. We want to give credit to, the people who did the dirty work for us. So go ahead and check that out. It's a great way to do a deeper dive on the creeps we talk here, because what we're doing is usually very high level. So if you want to go a little deeper, feel free. We have it all there for you. And there is a link to our merch shop where we have t-shirts and tote bags and face masks and all the good stuff. There's also a link to our Patreon. You want to tell them about that, Margot?
Yes. Patreon, Patreon. This is our 20th season.
What?
Right? So we have our first 5 or 6 seasons, about 50 episodes up there. These are the first few creeps that we covered for the show. That's on the Patreon wall. We also put out 2 bonus episodes a month on there. And we have something that we're announcing to people that we're actually going to offer to everyone. But I want to thank everyone that does support us on Patreon, because it really helps pay with the cost for all the things that there are costs for our podcast.
Yeah, we subscribe to a lot of these news sites that we use as our sources. So that's super helpful.
And there's like the software and everything else that we use. But I also want to just give a quick shout out to the people that leave us reviews on iTunes and Spotify. I realize I have to go to Spotify
thank you.
and accept the compliments. So thank you, Charlotte and Juliet. And also to, I don't want to say this wrong, but to 5-star reviews, we have Cutney, which I almost said
be
that.
careful.
Who found us from Trashy Divorces, and Kay Gallant, who said this is her favorite podcast. Also, we just got an email the other day. I don't know if you saw it. It was from Chile, who's a big
from
fan. Carmen, thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you, Carmen.
And also, what we're going to start doing is we do have a newsletter that's going out to Patreon members, but we're going to create a Substack that's free to everyone who's interested in this show and also dorking out. So that's going to be happening this summer, which is just around the corner. I can't believe
this summer.
She's got that voice going because she's going to see a Marvel film today.
It's the thrill ride of the summer.
All righty. So I think I've got through everything. Did I not?
I believe you did.
All right. Well, who is our creep today, Sonia?
All right, let's get into it. We are going to be talking about Moms for Liberty. So First of all, fuck these groups. To start right with that like the like liberty, the people who like appropriate the like American flag to the like the patriot, it's like we could be patriots and not be fucking MAGA, okay?
Yeah.
So anyway, sources for this episode: The Daily Beast, GLAAD, Media Matters, the Moms for Justice, or I'm sorry, Moms for Liberty website, their own website. Mother Jones did a really great deep dive on this group and attended like one of their conferences and stuff. It's super great. New Republic, Washington Post, and of course our good friends at Wikipedia, trigger warnings, racism, and transphobia. So in the United States, there's a resurgence of book banning and preventing the teaching about race and slavery and LGBTQ plus people and their history. This is a result of a certain kind of parent group, the kind of parent group that loves to talk about parental rights, but not your parental rights. If you have a gender nonconforming child and child with a compromised immune system, if you have a child with special needs, or you have a child that isn't straight or white, well, fuck your parental rights, according to this group. They are about parental rights for parents who have straight white children. It's time to talk about Moms for Liberty, a supposed nonprofit. That's right. Sonia's back on her bullshit again. This is a supposed nonprofit organization that focuses on parental rights. They pretend to be a grassroots organization, but they actually have strong ties to high-ranking elected officials and national anti-LGBTQ groups. Within 2 years of officially starting, it now has more than 100,000 members, 200 chapters in 38 states, all over the country. They want to cut any teaching about systematic racism. They want to remove LGBTQ-friendly books. They don't want accommodations for transgender students. And they even want to prevent like any kind of COVID prevention measures like vaccines or mask mandates. They also defend the Second Amendment rights. Apparently, that's something that parents think is super important. They support those rights that basically allow school shooters easier access to weapons. And they do it all under this idea of parental rights. They are... honestly, this group is filled with the type of women who think that the angry mom who wants to outlaw dancing and burn books in Footloose is the movie's real hero.
Wasn't that more of her husband, though, who was the preacher who changed his mind in 2 seconds?
Yes, there was that, but there was also this woman who's like, but what about the children? Like, she's not the hero, y'all. A lot of the media coverage of Liberties for Mom kind of portray them as these like bitchy Karens.
Moms for Liberty?
And, yeah, what did I say?
Liberties for Mom. My mom took a lot of liberties in her life.
Yeah, fuck these people. Moms for Liberty. They portray them as these bitchy Karens that nobody is really taking seriously. But like Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction, they won't be ignored, Dan. They shouldn't be ignored. People are taking them very seriously. And much like, groups that we've talked about before on the show, like Focus on the Family or Tea Party, what started as a quote unquote grassroots movement, sure it did, is attracting like right-wing think tanks and a lot of money. And they are turning into a very popular movement in the conservative movement. I guess I shouldn't have said movement so many times. Whatever. It doesn't matter. So we're going to talk about this group. We're going to talk about why they started it, who's really funding it, what are the group's real goals, and we'll end it with a list of the bullshit this group has pulled. And it's a long list, y'all. I hit the word count on this one because they've done so much stupid shit. So let's get started. Moms for Liberty actually started in 2020. It was started by someone named Tiffany Justice, her real name, apparently, wow. Tiffany Justice, and Tina Deskovich. I honestly don't care if I pronounced it right. They are 2 former school board members in Florida, of course. Florida. Oh, Florida, y'all have some good people.
Yeah. It's a
These
pretty
aren't
state.
them. Yeah, these aren't them. They love to tell the story of like, we're just these moms who were on the school board and then COVID happened and they are sitting in on their children's Zoom sessions. And that's when they learned that they were learning more than just reading and writing and math. And they were, very upset about what they discovered. I would argue that they're not very good school board members if they don't know what the school curriculum was before that, but
Right.
whatever. The group went official like January 2021. And like I said, now it's like over 100,000 members. I think that number is probably actually higher now. This is, who knows if they've updated it. 200 chapters, 38 states. They claim that they are funded by donations from people and by selling t-shirts. And this is not true at all. They have like a secret like third founder of their group, and her name is Bridget Ziegler, and she's a member of the Sarasota County School Board, and her husband is named Christian Ziegler, and he's the vice chairman of Florida's Republican Party.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they're not just a couple of moms who met at the PTA fundraiser and decided to start a group. And when it's like so popular now, like this was a calculated thing with like Republican leadership. The Moms for Liberty executive director is a woman named Marie Rogerson, sorry. And she's also like a prominent Republican campaign strategist in Florida. Like these are not just rando moms. And thanks to those connections, literally within weeks of forming their group officially, they were on the Rush Limbaugh show. They were on
R.I.P.
There was like a shout out. Yeah, R.I.P. LOL.
Sorry.
There was, shout outs on the Tucker Carlson show. They had articles in Breitbart. They were on Glenn Beck. They were on Newsmax, Daily Caller. It's the who's who of shitty right wing publications, basically. We're talking about Moms for Liberty. They went all in on Florida Governor Ron DeSantis's Don't Say Gay censorship law. And that's when Moms for Liberty really blew up. They claim that gender identity indoctrination, their words, put that in quotes, is the most dangerous thing that's facing children in America today.
Wrong. But
correct.
Wrong.
Correct. And I have a kid. This is not the biggest threat to my son. I looked it up. There's actually a huge increase in suicides in children that identify as LGBTQ. That's not because we allow it. It's because we don't allow it because we're shitty to them.
Right. We're marginalizing them even further. The adults are doing that in public, in media, and they fucking hear about it, and it makes them feel worse.
Exactly. This is from the CDC. So this is the thing that's really happening. And actually, the leading cause of death for children in the United States are guns. I looked it up. More than car accidents, more than cancer.
Jesus Christ, what has happened to us?
But this group fully supports the Second Amendment. So fuck you for saying that you give a shit about children when you support that. So again, parents' rights, this is the thing they like to bring up at every one of these school board meetings, but they don't care about your rights. It's their rights, only them. Straight white kids only, please. But what it's really about, because it's really not about the kids, right? It's about money and power. So, Moms for Liberty, again, they claim they're a nonprofit. I doubt it. They get their money from t-shirts and donations. They don't. They have received money from something called the Conservatives for Good Government. It's a right-wing Florida political action committee. They've held all kinds of fundraisers where, people like Megyn Kelly come to talk at them, or Ben Carlson. There was a recent Moms for Liberty conference and like the Heritage Foundation, which is a like very prominent conservative think tank, was there. There's Parents Defending Education. There's Turning Point USA, which I think is Ben Shapiro's thing. I don't know.
Asshole.
Anyway,
he's on our list,
yeah,
by the way.
He's on our list. They all donate money, all kinds of other like GOP donors, people who donate to like DeSantis and all that. They're all funding Moms for Liberty. It's, again, they're not getting their money from t-shirts. This is not a thing. But what they're focusing on really is about taking over school boards. Mm-hmm. This is their thing. So they started with things like fighting mask mandates, and now it's turned into like pressuring school libraries to remove books that they consider obscene. And they also talk about, and we talked about this in one of our past episodes, private schools and charter schools. Mm-hmm. So if y'all want, you could go back and listen to our Betsy DeVos episode. We replayed it in season 8. Ragey Sonia was definitely activated. I fucking hate her.
Yeah.
She's a cunt. Fuck Betsy DeVos. But
she's a cutney. Just kidding.
She's a cutney.
Sorry. Terrible joke.
So there is a whole thing in this, and a lot of this it started in Florida. So I don't want people to think I'm picking on Florida, but like there are some they talk a lot about private schools and charter schools and like taking funding from public schools and channeling these things into private and charter schools. And it's like, if somebody is unhappy with the education in a public school and they want to send their kid to private school, good, bye, have a great time.
It's already existed.
But they don't want that. What they want is they want public money to pay for their kid to go to private school. And that's kind of what charter schools are. They're like this happy medium between these things. And there is an education law, or there's something that happened in Florida. They passed something that says that a lot of Florida charter schools are actually exempt from federal education laws. I don't know how this is a thing, but that means...
But if it's federally funded, how is that possible?
Exactly. So I'm like, clearly someone needs to challenge this.
Just go to private school. I mean, seriously, that's what they're there for.
Yeah. It's really fucked up. So what a lot of people don't realize, so their whole thing is they're going to school board meetings and they're making it a shit show. I used to cover school board meetings. I used to be a reporter. School board was my beat. Occasionally, school board meetings got heated. There was things about like cutting funding to arts and music, and sometimes there were layoffs of teachers and stuff, and it would get very, very heated. Right now, like school leaders are saying that Moms for Liberty groups have showed up and they're turning it in. They literally describe it as the Jerry Springer show. Like they yell at people, they interrupt people. Yeah, when you disagree with them, they call you a commie or a groomer, a pedophile. They just claim that like you just want kids to fail. Like it's a shit show is what they're describing. And they just bully these people.
Right.
Like shout them down, and to the point where like a lot of parents don't even want to go to school board meetings anymore because they don't want to deal with these people. And then they're running for school board and they're getting on the school board and then they're enacting all of these things. And like what a lot of people don't realize are school boards are like kind of gateways into politics. So you could start at a school board and then you move into like a city government. Like I ran, people recognize your name. Oh, they were on the school board. I'll vote for them for supervisor or whatever. And then they go to county and then they go to state and so on and so on. So it's talk about grooming. Right. It's a way of like politically like grooming your career is to start at school boards. So this is definitely something that's happening. But their big thing is, so they're going to these school board meetings, they're turning it into a fucking shit show, or they're running for school board and getting on and they're banning books. So what books are they banning? They are attempting to ban books about Martin Luther King Jr.,
whom they love to quote, by the way, every year on his murder day, on his death day. People love to, forgetting that he was an angry man and like Pissed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was a Moms for Liberty chapter in Tennessee, and they actually sent out a letter with a spreadsheet of the books and articles that need to be banned from the school library. And I went through it and picked out some for us because it's real fun. They wanted to ban a textbook that included a photograph of two seahorses mating.
Oh.
Because it was too risque for elementary school students to see two seahorses touching tails.
I'm so turned on right now.
Yeah, I know. So hot. Oh my God. I'm so hot right now. They needed to remove they wanted them to remove an article about police brutality in the civil rights demonstrations in the 60s because it paints a negative view of firemen and police. They wanted to remove a fictional book about the Civil War because it depicted marriage outside of families. And it was also marriage between white men and black women. And it described white people as bad or evil. They wanted to ban a book about Galileo because it made the church look bad.
For God's sakes.
You guys, it gets even better. They wanted to ban a book about hurricanes because it might scare the kids.
Oh my God, these snowflakes.
They wanted to ban a book about owls because they thought it was too sad.
How are kids going to learn to manage anything if we try to hyper focus on this shit?
Yes, they also wanted to ban a book about Native Americans because it paints white people in a negative light. And they wanted to ban multiple books that contained Spanish or French Creole words because it might be confusing for children.
Yeah, what kind of people are we trying to raise here?
It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
By the way, none of these books were on a list because a kid read them and was like disturbed by it or upset or even had questions. This is all like parents just reading fucking books from the library and finding shit to complain about. So their whole thing, so they're trying to get all these other books banned, trying to get them removed from libraries. And at the same time, they are trying to get books that promote conservative propaganda into school libraries. So they have Moms for Liberty has partnered with 3 right-wing like book publishers, one called Brave Books. His name is I can't even fucking deal with these names. Brave Books, Heroes of Liberty, and books from Ben Carlson's foundation, the American Cornerstone Institute. These are the books that they're trying to get in the schools. And then like some of the content in these books are like the same as like the banned books, but they're for bigots, basically. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, the Brave Books, one of them is like an anti-trans children's book called Elephants Are Not Birds. That's literally what it's called. Fuck these people. Elephants are not birds. It's about
no doy.
Yeah. So there's that. What's the other one? Oh, there's also a book by Rush Limbaugh that like talks about him like he's a First Amendment champion.
You know what? Honestly, you know what? Fine. But then you have to also include the other books. You want to add books to the library and fine, you know.
Yes. What? So, but that's not what they want, right?
No. Right. So they're not for choice.
Yeah. And so you're asking like, what are the type of people we're trying to raise here? Good question. Because one of the other things that they really want removed from school curriculum are social emotional learning programs.
Because we're never going to be social or emotional in our lives. What would be the point of learning that?
Which, by the way,
Jesus Christ.
Like, again, I have an 11-year-old boy. Let me tell you how much the social emotional learning programs are helpful.
Yeah.
They're so helpful. We all have emotions. We all have to like navigate our own experiences and our own emotions. And here is something to help. We're always bitching about, I didn't learn in high school how to like do my own taxes or balance checkbooks or what credit cards is. We talk about how we don't learn these like basic things that we need to learn.
Right.
This is a basic thing that people need to learn. We need to be in touch with like who we are and how to express ourselves and
handle disappointment,
like, and how to handle disappointment
and sadness. Things that happen to every single human on the planet, whether you like it or not. No matter how beautiful and perfect you are, or rich you are, or white you are, or you know, you're out in the suburbs and nobody will ever get you. You're still going to experience that shit. It happens to everyone because we're humans. Yes. Jesus Christ, I'm going to lose it. I'm getting ragey.
Yes, ragey. Sonia and Margot activated. So if you don't know, just here's the like definition. These are programs that teach things like self-regulation, conflict resolution, and perseverance in the face of adversity. How to deal with your shit.
Right.
Is what this is about. I can't imagine thinking this is a bad thing. But for some reason, these people think that this is just a gateway to talking about one of their scary words, critical race theory or gender ideology. This is not those things. This is
life skills.
It's just life skills. Exactly. Like the woman, Tiffany Justice, actually said in an interview that she believes social emotional learning was perhaps originally intended for good, but now it has been weaponized to drive a wedge between parents and their children in American schools.
Without any proof.
It doesn't even make any sense.
And it doesn't make sense. And they overuse the word weaponization, by the way. They say that for everything now. Yeah.
Except for the Second Amendment, then they don't use that word.
Right.
Also, if your child learning how to express their emotions drives a wedge between you and them, do better.
You've got a problem, by the way, if that's the case. Like, y'all need to work on some shit.
Yes.
Look at Columbine.
I love that my son is doing social emotional learning. Right. And I don't know how often my son has pointed out to me that I was apologizing for something that wasn't my fault.
That's amazing.
Amazing. And also, what was the one recently? Oh, I made some joke where I was like, I'm the worst. And he's like, you shouldn't say that about yourself, Mom. You're the best mom.
All right, let's take a quick break. That's amazing. Just a second.
Okay, let's get into it. I've got a list of some of the bullshit this group has been up to. It's good. Nicole Prussman, she is a Pennsylvania leader of Moms for Liberty. She actually took over the Facebook page of a local murdered woman and used it to harass other mothers who stood up against Moms for Liberty in school board meetings.
Oh my God, the fuck is wrong with people?
By the way, she also opened credit cards in her, like anyone who argued with her, she would open credit cards in their names and then
try to ruin their credit.
Yeah. That's how far this person would go. The New Hampshire chapter actually was offering $500 rewards to anyone who caught a teacher talking about systematic racism in their class.
New Hampshire's kind of the worst. I'm sorry. I know people went to school there. A lot of
bounty.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of like gun rights stuff and libertarian shit there. Yeah.
Yeah. So last year, when one of the Moms for Liberty founders, Tina Descovich, the one I don't care to learn her name properly. So she ran for school board and she actually lost. She lost to this woman named Jennifer Jenkins. People started showing up at Jennifer Jenkins' house. They accused her of being a pedophile. They reported her to the Department of Children and Families, claiming that she was abusing her own daughter.
Oh my God.
Isn't that, she had to file like restraining orders against people.
That's some Glenn Beck shit. I'm thinking, who am I thinking of? Alex Jones.
Yes,
yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh my God. These are like, Moms for Liberty is like the fucking Proud Boys for white women. That's what this is. It is. bananas.
We're
Let's
white
see, what
women, by the
else?
way. We should like,
Yeah, white women.
yeah.
The Moms for Liberty Twitter account has been suspended multiple times for like attacking people on there, including like going at like just saying false things about California's gender affirming healthcare bill, just spreading misinformation. So they've been banned. Dude, they've been banned when Elon Musk was in charge. That's how fucked up they are.
That's
on
pretty
that
extreme.
There's a Moms for Liberty activist who has publicly advocated for separating gay students into specialized classes, like
in hairspray. Like they just
basically,
Jesus.
like basically what she was saying was the gay students or transgender students should be put into the classes with like the special needs children. So if you have like put gay children in classrooms with children who have like autism and Down syndrome and other like special needs. It's ridiculous.
It's fucked up.
Let's see. Let's go to this one. We have another person from the Livingston County, Michigan chapter who went into their like local Facebook page and was like threatening anybody who said that they would vote for Biden, threatening to like show up at their house and kick their ass, basically. Let's see. It's a long list, y'all. I'm just going to keep going. We have a chairperson of the Monroe County, Pennsylvania chapter was arrested after like repeatedly harassing individuals on like in person and in text messages.
All the best people.
All the best people.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. The head of communications of the Arkansas chapter threatened to kill a librarian. The Moms for Liberty chapter chair, Jennifer Smith. Oh, we already, Jennifer Smith. She started a whole harassment campaign against a fellow parent named Sarah Cross, who just wanted people to wear masks in school because she has an immunocompromised child. She had to file a restraining order.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Against her because the woman was also publishing her home address online. Ridiculous. Another one threatened a school in Brighton. Where is that? Sorry, I didn't write down the state. Shame on me. Showed up to the school board and was yelling at people, "We're coming for you. You should take it as a threat. You better call the FBI. I don't care." In Chattanooga, Tennessee, members were harassing a group so much, like calling them pedophile sympathizers, that the police had to be called.
This at school meetings.
School meetings. By the way, there's children. There's children at these meetings. I've been to these meetings.
Yeah, because some people can't get childcare. That's, or they're trying to teach their kids civics. Like this is Christ on a cracker. Oh my God.
Yes. It's so many. Suffolk County, New York. They referred to school mask policies as segregation. They urged their own children to rip off their masks in their classroom in protest, which the children did because they're listening to their parents, and then the kids got sent home. Indian River County, Florida. Sorry, Florida. They objected to fourth graders being taught how to spell the words spinal tap, isolation, or quarantine because they were too scary.
Oh, Spinal Tap is a great movie. I don't know what their problem is. What dingbats.
Goes up to 11. This goes up to 11. The police were called to a school board meeting in Wisconsin because the Moms for Liberty members were going after and there was also a Gays Against Groomers group.
Oh yeah, they're big on Twitter too. Oh my God, there's no way there's gay people behind this. There's not a chance.
No, and they showed up and they were yelling at people and accusing them of wanting to show explicit pictures to children. It got totally out of hand. There was a 10-year-old girl there that wanted to talk to the school board. They drove her to tears. Another school board member in Charleston, South Carolina, a Moms for Liberty school board member. He's won a school board seat. said that he would show up at his child's teacher's house with a gun if the teacher came out as transgender.
My God.
These are all things that
I'm sure they're all Christians too. Say they are.
Yes. Yes, they are. They are. This is beyond like, this isn't healthy discourse, by the way. And if you go to the Moms for Liberty website, and please don't, because you don't want it in your search history, but if you did, they refer to themselves as joyful warriors.
They look like very pissed off warriors. There's no joy in all this. I'm not joyful listening to it.
No, they are cuntful warriors. They're awful. They are, it is like dirty, nasty, like winning. It's about winning. It's like, it is disgusting. I wanted to end it with this. So Mother Jones reporter Kara Butler actually went to one of those conferences last summer, and she wrote about that. She said this: exactly who do Moms for Liberty consider enemies? According to the speakers at the session, it's the woke left, the government bureaucrats, and the socialists. But once I sat through these sessions, it became clear that their true targets were the people who had been marginalized. They refused to entertain the idea that transgender people's lived experiences might genuinely enhance a classroom discussion, or that learning about Black suffering might sharpen a white student's moral compass.
Yeah.
They only want white history.
Sanitized history.
Yes.
That's what they want.
Yes. Yes. And when we've talked about this in other ways too, like in that when, say, like a movie comes out and it's not targeted to like young white men, there's a certain group of young white men who get very angry on social media and they fucking lose their shit. And it's like, not everything's for you.
Well, and we also,
but also
right,
you should see it and like try on a different perspective, have some empathy, learn something. There's no shame in that. And the idea that somehow teaching kids that being other than what they are is okay,
right,
is bad, is bananas to me. I don't understand this group, but it's not even about kids. It's just about
control.
It's about control. It's about money. It's about power. It's about white supremacy.
Yeah.
To be honest,
it's creating a universe where you're comfortable all the time and you're never made to feel uncomfortable. And you being uncomfortable for a second is like the biggest tragedy, versus a gay kid who, you make him feel like he or she's a piece of shit. They are a piece of shit and don't belong and aren't welcome in their own goddamn community where their parents pay taxes. And they're going to be, we're still hung up on gay people. And trans people have been around forever.
It is ridiculous. And the idea that like any minor inconvenience, anything that's like outside of your like little bubble that you've built in your brain, they act like it's an infringement on their fucking rights. And it isn't. That's not what your rights are. That's not what they are. They're like willful ignorance. Makes me so angry.
Ignorance is like that. Yeah, that's like my biggest.
It makes
trigger.
My blood boil. And researching this made me so angry as a parent with an 11-year-old who like has special needs and is trying to like navigate the world, and to have people behave this way and the way that they're acting. I'm like, this is how you want your children to behave? I can't wrap my head around it. But those are our creeps, the Moms for Liberty.
Okay, I'm going to need a Silkwood shower when we're absolutely done with this. But Sonia.
Yes.
Would you like to hear about a non-creep right now? I'm sure this audience would. Okay. okay, we're staying kind of in the same area. I wish I thought more about maybe creating the opposite of what we're even talking about, but we're kind of staying in with somebody who created her own who's a political activist, by the way. So we are talking about political activism.
Yes.
Her name is Shannon Watts. Do you know Shannon Watts? Are you familiar with her?
I do.
Well, let's just talk about her anyway, Sonia.
Yes.
She's a New
Please.
Year's baby, January 1st, 1971, and she's from Rochester. My roommate went to Rochester, SUNY Rochester. It snows from October to May in Rochester. Just so you know.
Okay.
She is the founder of Moms Demand Action for gun sense in America, Moms Demand Action. She had started her career in communications, and she worked for big-time people like Fleischmann Hilliard, Monsanto, GE Healthcare, WellPoint. That was her career, and then she had 5 kids. And she decided, and her husband, she and her husband said, maybe I should be home, stay-at-home mom. And their kids went to school. They were living in Indiana. And over 10 years ago, December 14th, 2012, a gunman who was 19? He went into a school in Sandy Hook in Newton, Connecticut, and murdered 26 children and educators.
Every time it's like a punch in the gut every time I hear the story.
My brother
It's so awful.
had lived in Australia for almost 10 years and moved back to the States to take a job and lived in Connecticut and then moved to Quincy, Mass. And he said a week after he moved home, this happened. And he was like, when am I coming home to?
Yeah.
This is like... So she was a communications person. And she's like, well, she went on her Facebook and she created a Facebook group. And it was sort of like Moms Demand Action. Like, when's this madness going to stop? And she began this organization, and they went on to become one of the most popular gun rights grassroots groups in America.
They're legit. They're legit grassroots.
They are a true nonprofit organization. Well, yeah, I mean, they partnered with Michael Bloomberg, but eventually they had to, but at some point, but it's Moms Demand Action for gun sense in America, which is not getting rid of guns, but it is, I don't know, why don't we stop having children being murdered by them? Let's make that a goal and see what happens when we roll our sleeves up and try to provide action to something that's actually happening. Versus
how about a little regulation,
just a little regulation. And so they had their red T-shirts as well, and they're represented throughout the country. She has been nominated In Style Badass Woman. She's one of the 25 women changing the world. Time Magazine, one of the most influential people in the world. Glamour Women of the Year Award. She's written, I love this book, Fight Like a Mother, How a Grassroots Movement Took on the Gun Lobby and Why Women Will Change the World. She was part of this, and then this year she decided to retire because after 11 years, and she's realized it's going to take incremental change. It's just not going to happen. And you think 10 years would be enough, but it's not. And she said her husband had a big birthday, and there was a shooting that day, and she had to miss it because she's active. It's
every day.
It's every day now. Every week we have another one.
Yeah.
And she's very attractive and she's very mediable. She's very good on camera. So she was the face of the company for the organization. So she would be the one that would have to respond and have to go on camera and have to talk about it. She's had her life threatened many times.
Yes.
Her daughters were threatened with rape because of what their mother was doing. They eventually had to leave Indiana, which is actually a red state, and they moved out west for a little bit more
It's so fucked
safety.
up.
Yeah, it's super fucked up because that's what they're asking for is just some gun sense. She's now she's consulting with them. She's trying to figure out what her next steps will be. It's now called Every Town for Gun Safety. There is a chapter throughout America. Michael Bloomberg. It's a case of a billionaire. Excuse me, not a millionaire. But
how dare you?
I know. But they merged these organizations, so now they're a little more powerful because they have each other. So it's truly a nonprofit, 501c Corps. You could look this up for yourselves, and you can always look this up. With any organization, what do they spend on overhead? What do they spend on marketing? What do they spend on blah blah blah? You can look them up. This was the revenue was $36 million. The expenses were $36 million. Like they can explain everything.
Yes.
They can show that
this Moms for Liberty cannot.
No, a lot of organizations can't. We talked about the NFL, which was a nonprofit.
Yeah.
I mean, or every church, when you see how do these priests and pastors have private jets?
We did an episode on Joel Osteen.
And there's boy, did we piss people off with that one. But he's just one of many.
Yes.
Mary on Salt Lake City has 12 homes. How? She has 20 people in that church. It's just a nonprofit. I know. We're taking this very high level, this conversation. But I want to say this before we move forward. I just want to say that I just want to say this to her. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
For caring about kids. Thank you for everything that you did and everything you will do moving forward. And that could not have been easy. And she said it just was wearing her down, and it would. And also, I want to also say this. I'm sorry. In the middle, because there was one of her interviews that I looked at online. She said she started off as a white lady of privilege, great privilege, who entered this discussion, who had no idea about urban violence and African-American communities and what needed to be taken care of in other communities. And she was called out by a few senators who said, you don't even speak about Atlanta or what's happening here, there. And she said, you're right. Let's talk. I want to learn. And that's what she's she's opening herself up. Exactly.
Yeah, you guys can't see, but I'm waving my hands because I'm yes, just admit.
Yes.
I don't know something and I would like to learn something about it.
If I have a blind spot, I need to know. I know it's not fun to be called out on things, but that's another case where you manage your emotions and you deal with the temporary embarrassment with the long-term knowledge of doing better.
Yes. Imagine that.
Imagine that. And you could do that for someone else maybe someday. I mean, it's just I want to bang my head against the wall. But I'm a rocker. I always want to bang my head against the wall. All right. Trying to end it on a positive note. So Shannon Watts, she's our not creep this week.
Good job, Margot. That's such a good one because this is a mom group, or it started as a mom group, I should say, that was actually tackling something that is a legit problem. Like I mentioned earlier, guns are actually the number one killer of children in this country right now. So wanting to do something about that makes sense, channeling the donations and the energy into something that actually will help children is amazing and respectable. Moms for Liberty isn't focused on the shit that actually matters. These are made up fucking problems.
When the number one killer is guns, and that's the one thing you won't tackle, where are we going to go from there? No drag queen ever hurt a child.
No, the banning of books, the worrying about a transgender child using a bathroom that doesn't respond to their born sex or whatever. These are made up problems. These are not things these are culture war problems because these are the things that honestly our current GOP likes to distract us with instead of dealing with the real things. And
it's become so overwhelmingly this demonized, this whole idea of doctors are taking children and they're injecting them with this. And somebody I actually like on Twitter, he kind of pushed back on the point because Paul Stanley of KISS and Dee Snider of Twisted Sister.
Yeah. Look forward to our newsletter, everybody. I have some thoughts.
Yeah. They made a whole thing we just want somebody more moderate talking about these issues. And it's just and he said, well, it's just like ADHD medicine. 10 years ago, all the parents were giving. I'm this is not the same fucking thing.
No, it is not the
same. And by the way,
thing.
calling someone by their preferred pronoun is about the base level of showing respect for another person. That is not heavy lifting. It shouldn't embarrass you. It shouldn't be like, it's just like, oh, okay. You go by they, them. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. I know trans people.
Mm-hmm.
I work with trans people. I see trans people in my day-to-day life here in San Francisco. Like, it's not that hard, y'all.
It's not.
Like, sometimes do I use the wrong pronoun? I absolutely do. When I'm called out on it, I say, I apologize. I didn't know, and I fucking fix it.
Right.
It's just basic stuff. It's like when you mispronounce someone's name, like which I do all the time. Come on.
Yeah.
Like you want to do it right. Like, it's respectful. I don't care about Moms for Liberty, so I don't care to be respectful and pronounce their names right. Fuck them. But like, in general, it's a respect thing. It's just being just be decent.
It was like, I'm sorry, Daniel, the Harry Potter actor.
Daniel Radcliffe.
His girlfriend just had a baby. Mm-hmm. And he's spoken out for trans rights and how he's against what she who will be on our show at another time. We shall not name her now.
Not be named.
We will be talking about her. And then these anti-trans people were harping on his girlfriend saying, oh, we could tell that she's not really a she. And people had to write back like, no, she's pregnant. And she even said like, I don't give a shit what you think of me. Like, yeah. I'm living my life truthfully and honestly. And, or the great Lady Gaga who told in one of her interviews to Gloria Vanderbilt's son. God damn it. CNN.
Anderson Cooper.
Thank you. He says, people think you're a man. She goes, what do I care? Who cares if I have a penis? I don't care. My fans don't care. Yeah. And she's like chewing on grapes as she's talking about it. Like, that's the level it should be. It doesn't matter.
Sonia, people think you're a man. And I'll be like, suck my dick.
Or I wish I got paid like one. Right?
Yeah, I'd be rich.
I'd be rolling in it. Okay. So that's the show this week, y'all. Thank you so much for listening. If this was your first time and your last time, we wish you well. But everyone else, as Gwyneth Paltrow said at her trial,
they didn't make it this far.
As Gwyneth Paltrow said to that shyster that tried to sue her, I wish you well.
I wish you well.
It's got some shade to it. If you still are here and you like the sound of our voices, we talk about movies on a show called Dorking Out. And we have such a fun movie coming up. Sonia, what are we going to be talking about?
We're going to be talking about Betsy's Wedding. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't seen it since the theater, but there's so many people in it that I love. I can't wait to rewatch it.
It's Alan Alda, Molly Ringwald, Ali Sheedy, Catherine O'Hara, Joe Pesci. It's just full of great people. And I remember it being totally adorable. I'm not always right, but I think I remember this one.
I feel confident that this one will still be adorable.
Yeah. So that's there. All those places we mentioned at the top of the show, if you have ideas for creeps and especially non-creeps, please send them to us. We love it when you use the Annie Potts gift. We got one from Ghostbusters. Or just do something clever on your own. All that counts. Yeah. Once again, our email is whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. And Sonia, where can they find you?
You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram and the TikTok, where I'm there to ruin it for the kids. What about you, Margot?
You can find me on Twitter at Brooklyn Margot. I'm on Instagram, Brooklyn Fit Chick. My site is brooklynfitchick.com, and I am on TikTok at Margot Donohue, Donohue. Y'all, be safe, be kind, take care of yourselves. Don't be a creep.
Be a creep. Thank you for listening to us talk about creeps. You can follow us at What a Creep Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
But don't follow us too closely.
You can email us your creepy stories at whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com.
But please keep your dick pics to yourself.